Reynoldsburg, Ohio is a comparatively small city when stacked against the likes of the three C's: Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus. All of these cities have governments that would dwarf Reynoldsburg's, but this doesn't make Reynoldsburg's government any less important or any less hardworking. Governing 40,000 people is no walk in the park, and the faces behind this multifaceted governmental body know it. Join us as we take a look into Reynoldsburg's modern government, the faces behind it, and how it has been making the city run for a fraction of its history. Reynoldsburg has been in existence as a settlement since the 1800s, but the foundations for what would become our present-day municipality truly began in 1979 with the drafting of the City of Reynoldsburg Charter. This document was largely responsible for setting the boundaries of our local government, detailing everything from the mayor's responsibilities to the way we vote for our representatives in elections. It mirrors the Constitution of the United States in a way, and has been amended just like it, but the effects of the words written in this paper are directly impacting our government today. Therefore, it is impacting every one of us as well. We talked to Mayor McLeod about the formation of the charter and its lasting impressions.
It's vital. I mean, it is the cornerstone. It is the equivalent of our Constitution. And anytime anything comes up, the first thing we ask ourselves is, what's the charter say? I keep it literally within arm's reach. It's right here, in that brown binder. It spells out pretty much everything that we are tasked with doing and what we're allowed to do.
Each role in the government has specific requirements and specifications detailed in the charter. The jobs of the mayor, for example, are numerous, but the charter explains them as the chief executive, administrative, and law enforcement officer of the city, responsible for and have the authority to administer and generally control, direct, and supervise all administrative departments, divisions, and subunits thereof, except the departments of law and city auditor. The mayor shall not interfere with the exercise of powers, duties, and functions of other elected officers of the city. Rather, the mayor shall cooperate fully with such other elected officials to assure the orderly and efficient management of the city. The mayor is essentially our executive branch of government, overseeing the various departments and laws which make Reynoldsburg run smoothly.
I'm a worker bee. Yeah, I don't come in and just delegate. Now, obviously, I have to delegate, but I'm hands-on. I'm accessible. I just had a meeting at 1 o'clock with a citizen who has a neighbor who is creating issues for her business. And so I had the chief of police in there, someone from our building department, someone from our zoning division, and I do a lot of that. When I had a gentleman come in one day who was unhappy. We'd torn up his yard to fix the water line. He was unhappy with the way it looked when we got done. And he came in and said, I want you to come out and look at it sometime. I want you to look at it. And I said, let's go. And he said, you mean right now? And I said, yeah, let's go right now. So I followed him to his house. And when we got there, he kind of softened. He said, probably after it gets some rain, it'll be okay. It'll come in. You know what? Forget about it. I'll call you if I need to. More than anything, he wanted someone to listen to him and to recognize that he had a concern. So there's a lot of that, and I do a lot of that. Yeah, I go to ribbon cuttings, but it's not just that.
This isn't the only position of management in Reynoldsburg's government. There is also City Council. City Council is detailed in the charter to exercise all legislative powers of the city and all powers granted to municipal corporations by the Constitution and laws of Ohio, which are not reserved by this charter to other officers of the city and which are not inconsistent with this charter. This means that members of council are essentially our lawmakers and financial backers, but there's much more to the job than that. To get a better look, we talked to Barth Kottner, a current city councilman.
So City Council is the legislative branch of the Reynoldsburg local government. We are responsible for passing legislation and ordinance. We are the body that approves and works with the mayor on the budget for all the spending in the city for road projects or street projects, working with the Parks and Recreation Department on spending and staffing, just really kind of the legislative body, and we work with really every department to help facilitate what their mission and what they're trying to accomplish. Our main job, our main goal really is to represent the community, to be the voice for each person in our town, to speak up and make sure that they have an active reflection of what they want to happen with their community and their government. So we're to be responsive and receptive to what their wishes and their needs are. We are accountable to the citizens of Reynoldsburg. We also work on trying to make sure that we bring a vision and leadership to the future of Reynoldsburg, and try to make sure that we have plans to help move Reynoldsburg in a positive direction like we are now, and working with the city leadership to move forward the community center and all of our building plans and our master plan that the community is going to be moving forward with. So City Council is just kind of an overall body that works together to facilitate all the different needs of the city.
So in these two branches, we start to see a better picture of our government, and more importantly, that our government has a need for working together, across branches and departments, in order to work at all.
You know, I've seen candidates run against each other, and afterward set up the time to have breakfast or grab a beer. We're not enemies. We're political adversaries for one race, but we're not enemies. And we've done a decent job of that here locally.
Garth Cotner has similar beliefs.
We definitely work together and try to facilitate, again, the needs of what's going to happen in our community. The process, generally speaking, the mayor is in charge of the various departments in the city. Those departments will bring to council proposed legislation. They will bring to council directives. The mayor will bring things to council that they want to see happen. Council then discusses them in an open and public forum, so that we make sure that the community knows what's going on, the community has a voice, has a knowledge and understanding, and then we will vote on the various legislation that comes from the mayor, comes from the departments of his, and then we try to pass that forward. At times that the two would disagree, the mayor has the power to veto a council action. And then again, if that were to happen, council would have the power to override that veto. So generally speaking, we work together very well. There's communication on both parts to make sure that we are trying to move something forward that's going to be for the best interest of the community.
Now that we know what the very top of our government looks like, what about the various departments and offices in between? The offices of City Auditor and City Attorney are ones unique to the charter because they are elected officials who don't directly report to the mayor or City Council, but rather work with them. We talked with City Auditor Richard Harris to learn more about his occupation and the role he plays in our government.
I don't have a lot of authority, as auditor. I enforce things passed by council. For example, a department says they want to buy street department wants to buy a dump, adults to put salt out, I have to make sure that's what they use it for. They can't just decide, we decided we want to take that and put on an extra person. So I'm here to enforce the ordinances that council passes, Also, I do all the, what you would call accounting work for the city. All the payroll checks, all the payables checks, handle the purchase orders, the things you would normally see an accounting department do. We issue all kinds of reports. We have financial reports we issue this year. It's a book about like this thick. We do all the accounting type work, all the collection of taxes comes through the auditor's office, and the big one for the city would be income tax. We're talking about $14-15 million a year, so it's just a fair amount of time. Now back in the early 90s, we subcontracted the collection part out to the Regional Income Tax Agency, but there's still a lot of work to do. And we have a full-time tax administrator who does about 400 tax returns a year for people when they come in. And if there's any problems, that she handles those, and they do some collection work and all those kinds of things. So it's really a pretty good sized job, and I do this with myself and 4 full-timers and a part-timer, so it keeps them busy.
City Auditor isn't the only position in Reynoldsburg that is uniquely elected. Jed Hood explains why a City Attorney is as well.
It's important for someone like me in this role to be able to give clear legal advice, to anybody in the city, and not have to have fear of reprisal as far as job ramifications go. Think of it this way. If I report it directly to the mayor, like some law directors do, and the mayor says, hey, Hood, I want to do this, and this is the opinion I want you to issue to me, right? Now that doesn't happen here, and it doesn't probably happen a lot, but if I had that in the back of my mind before I gave legal advice, am I giving the best legal advice I can? Right. So being independent and independently elected from the council members, and also the auditor and the mayor and all of the departments that I represent, gives me the autonomy that I only have to answer to the people who put me in office to give the best legal advice I possibly can. And sometimes it says, I'm sorry, Mayor, you can't do this. You can't do it this way. We need to do it a different way. Or I'm sorry, council, we can't do this way, but we can do it this way. This is the best way to do it. And I don't have to worry about, well, we're going to get 4 votes and we're going to get rid of you. No, I'm sorry, you can't do that. The way our charter is designed and the way our charter commands us to, have this position filled is by the people, not by any other elected officials.
So even when we have separation of powers, there still has to be cooperation between our mayor, city council, and the elected officials detailed in the charter specifically, like city auditor and city attorney. So now, what about the many departments which work under the mayor? What jobs do they serve, and what are their importance in making Reynoldsburg what it is? Sit down with Donna Boutman, the Director of Parks and Rec, to learn what makes the jobs of the many departments just as important as the mayor or city council.
We meet with the mayor on a weekly basis, or daily, depending on what's happening. If something comes up and we need to discuss it with him, we do. So we keep him abreast of what's happening in the city, and we come to work on solutions together. We bring our ideas to him, he brings his ideas to us, and we make sure that everything goes to fruition and just work together.
Talked to Development Director Dan Havener about his thoughts on Reynoldsburg's future and the importance of his department.
I think there's a great potential for Reynoldsburg to grow and expand. As I said, with the additional 350 acres to the east, that provides us with the ability to expand and grow. But even without that additional acreage, with the areas that we have internally that need attention, such as the Bryce Road corridor, the old downtown area, there's definitely key areas within the city that have the ability to develop into a quality area that the city would appreciate, and I think those are some big opportunities that the city of Reynoldsburg has before it, is to create the areas that the city needs to create, in areas like those that today are more areas of, I don't know if you consider it complete blight, but areas that definitely need attention.
So when we're talking here, I'm getting the sense that developing is more of a factor of enriching what we already have in
Correct.
terms of expanding outward and trying to get new land or new things to come. So
In the terms of for Reynoldsburg, yeah, that's
Yeah.
very true. Each area is different, but for Reynoldsburg, what you stated is very true, due to the fact that as we sit here today, we don't have the areas to grow necessarily, so we've got to develop and concentrate on those opportunities that we have internally to make them better.
So how important do you think then is it for the community as a whole to be supportive of that growth, of that internal growth?
Very important. And I think as the population of Reynoldsburg changes and we continue to get that new younger family and the millennial generation coming into the city, they're going to require that we act and create some places of destination like the old downtown area, bringing more life to areas like that, whether it's shops, entertainment, areas that are pedestrian friendly and areas that they can get to without jumping in their car. They can get there by bike, they can get there by walking. That's very important to the millennial generation nowadays.
What is your favorite thing about Reynoldsburg?
My favorite thing about Reynoldsburg, I think, is the diversity that the community offers. a lot of the other communities, but not necessarily all the communities in Central Ohio, has a great diversity within the community. It's we've got a lot of nationalities that make up the population in the community, and I think in terms of that, the community is blessed in terms of having that.
Reynoldsburg is a city with endless possibilities, and that all begins with our leaders in government. Understanding these various jobs and elected positions can also help us understand where to go if we have problems or questions. Understanding these various jobs and elected positions can also help us understand where to go if we have problems or questions. Go on to represent Reynoldsburg in great ways. Whether they are mayors, department heads, or anything in between, let's choose not to neglect the work our public service representatives put in every day to make our lives easier. And let's all remember that when they succeed, we all succeed in making Reynoldsburg a better place to work, a better place to have fun, and a better place to live.